I am truly touched. Now, there are two senses of the word touched. One of them is to be grateful. The other is to be a little off. You can take your choice with regard to that. And I will just thank one person whose administration, although it was a list, but Ellen has been incredible in setting this up. Then Mike and Libby Murphy, who helped to initiate this as well. I'd like to mention two of my relatives who are here as representatives. David Bloom, Matt Bailey, stand up wherever you are. Where did you stay? There's David and Matt, the second and third cousin. Most of my relatives in my generation are non-compos in one way or another and couldn't come up here. But I need to mention them because they're a part of the life that I've been given. Now, I was stunned when they mentioned gardens because somebody said it had a green thumb. This is as black a thumb as you could ever find. Up at the novitiate where I am now, which is our rehabilitation center, there used to be an arbor when I was a novice, which had a pipe under it. And I was asked to look for that pipe. And I said, if you ask me to look for that pipe, that rose bush, big, gorgeous rose bush, will die. It did. There is now an empty arbor, which is my memorial. So then I didn't know how to bring this up. I was going to say simply, no black roses, because I didn't want to mention my favorite nickname, actually, the Black Death, which I will mention. I wore black, and I was a hard grader. I passed on that nickname to a Jesuit who wanted it by a Latin lease. I changed the names into Latin and passed it on to Mick McCarthy, who wanted it. There are other nicknames I really don't want to know, and we will leave that one alone. But primarily, these gardens are about my mother and father. They gave a gift of life to me. They were immigrants. So Ellen said she had one request to consider. She has some thoughts to share about your teaching days at Santa Clara Law that I can tie in, just to have some references in case you're not up to talking too long of the dedication. I highly doubt you won't have something to say. I'm going to go on longer than she may have expected, but you are a captive audience. You know, I'm not going to say any great things about teaching or law school policy. After 40 years of faculty meetings in which we kept turning over the same ideas sequentially, I don't want to do so. And that doesn't mean that they were useless. It's simply you've got newness that comes in with every kind of generation. And the new one thinks, gee, no one's ever thought of this before. And the old ones think, gee, why talk about anything? No, life simply doesn't work that way. What I do want to talk about, I hope briefly, is kind of my own law school experience, and then something about the American dream. My law school experience was an incredible one. My first year, because I started law school twice, was the worst year in my life. I was thinking of becoming a lawyer, a priest, getting married. I called up my girlfriend with stomach pains. Well, as I like to put it, I was young and stupid, and one of those has changed. Okay, you got it. So it was the best educational experience of my life. High school and college were a breeze. Law school was the first time I had really been challenged. It was intellectual development, logic, the use of words, understanding what problems existed. But the difficulty is that can be dehumanizing. Every year when I started contracts, I would tell the people there, don't use this stuff at home because it destroys when you use a legal system as a way you're going to have a relationship within marriage or with your girlfriend or a boyfriend or whoever it would be. Underneath it all, however, law has many meanings. The Oxford English Dictionary has 5 pages of different definitions depending on what you want to think of your basic assumptions. But basically, law is about politics. And we generally use that in a pejorative sense. Good old Aristotle said, it's a virtue. It is the art of the community. And that is extremely difficult within marriage, within our social enterprises, within the legal system in which we live. It is a problem ultimately of law and morals. And I'm not saying morals should be tied into law. Absolutely, it can't be, because the legal system is a construct. From the extreme of the Scandinavian skeptics, and they were skeptics, to the idealism of the Germans, to the ambiguity of John Austin, who said there is no connection between law and morals at all. This pious Episcopalian did have that connection, but he didn't want secular reality to be determined by religion, or religion to be determined by secularity. There is a difference. The problem is, law is always somebody's bottom line, somebody's morals. You have to make a dream live, and that dream has to be put into reality. That's the problem of our modern politics, because sometimes that dream is a nightmare. How we figure out the difference, I leave to somebody else. Nobody has figured that out. Well, that leads to my second kind of wandering statement. My father had for me what he thought was the American dream. He thought of it, I think, as the life of a rich lawyer. And I like to say, well, he got the lawyer part. He didn't get the rich part. He once told me he would go back to church when I left the Society of Jesus. He and I, really great man, but we had arguments. I had delivered too many groceries to the back doors of wealthy customers who didn't care. They were showing this invisible delivery boy alcoholism, violence, and greed. And I'm not condemning wealth or the wealthy. We need wealth. We need the wealthy. We need them also to be very good people. And the irony of wealth and success is it can destroy. That's true of the Roman Catholic Church. It's true of individuals. It's true of the United States of America. Nor am I saying this to condemn my father, who was honest and kind and loving. But his transition to the United States was to make a better life for us, centered on economic reasons, which he extrapolated into the American dream. The irony is he did give a dream. He made a better life for us with my mother, a far better vision of the American dream, not centered on goods, but on people, to make a community. The flowers that you named after me are a great symbol of that community, to be watched, to be nurtured, and to give hope. Thank you very, very much. I am honored. I'm kind of weary, but I'm going to stay here and sit, and if you want to come say hello, please do so. Not for too long, because my energy levels. You know, I miss youth, not to do over, but the body was pretty good once.